Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is your brother Dr. Abu Isa. Inshallah, all of you are well and good health, especially mental health. I wanted to share a brief reflection about trauma, anxiety, and mood difficulties. SubhanAllah, as you know, it is very common now for individuals to suffer from significant complex trauma, emotional dysregulation, and mood difficulties. And we have alongside, obviously, treatment, traditional psychiatric treatment such as medication and psychotherapy, but also it's important for us to reflect and take lessons from the seerah and from the Quran. So I personally recommend for those of you who suffer from especially trauma and depression to look at Surah Yusuf, the 12th surah of the Quran, subhanAllah, which has so many benefits. But if we focus on the mental health kind of paradigm, there's a lot of lessons for us from that surah. From Yaqub alayhi salam advising Yusuf alayhi salam not to share his dream with his brothers, and then obviously the steps that his brothers took in terms of abducting him, initially wanting to kill him and then throwing him down the well. So I guess the first point to note is the amount of love that Yaqub alayhi salam had for Yusuf alayhi salam, and put yourself in his perspective and his mind when his other sons told him that Yusuf was eaten by a wolf. So that was an extremely traumatic event for Yaqub alayhi salam, but he had patience, and obviously he suffered a lot, leading to him becoming blind, whether that was due to a cataract or something else, Allahu A'lam. But this is one of the most traumatic things that an individual can experience. Much more severe than losing a child is actually kind of not really knowing, because I think Yaqub alayhi salam was aware that perhaps he was still alive, so kind of losing a child and not knowing the outcome, so that was extremely traumatic for him. From the perspective of Yusuf alayhi salam, being a young child, loving his father, suddenly being thrown and being betrayed by his own brothers, so that was very traumatic for him. Then being enslaved, another traumatic event, being taken to a faraway land. So trauma after trauma after trauma, and then obviously the issue about the wife of the Aziz trying to seduce him, and him seeking protection from Allah, then being thrown into prison, so falsely being accused, another traumatic event. Spending many years in the prison, the Sijn, kind of repeated trauma for him, knowing that he was innocent, and then obviously we know the story as it progresses, when he's released and then becomes the head of the treasury, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala elevates his status and honor, and then he reunites with his father. So this is something for us to reflect on, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned these stories for us to benefit from. So for me as a psychiatrist, I always recommend patients who are suffering from mental illness and mental disorders, particularly, as I mentioned, trauma and depression and anxiety, to go back to the Quran in addition to other treatments, and reflect on the tests that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts us through, and how we can overcome them with patience and forbearance. If Allah Azza wa Jal can test the best of people, which are the prophets, with these issues, then obviously we will also be tested. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect you and your families, and remember me in your du'as until next time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.